Welcome once again to another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. I'm Steve Gamache, and what we have now is the Harukaze VG-1 Gyuto 210mm knife. So this knife is what's called mono steel. It just has one chunk of steel. It is VG-1 full stainless steel. Heat treats around probably 5960 Rockwell on that steel, and it's mono steel. So it's just one chunk of steel. These are typically laser cut and then just ground down to shape in dimensions, and the weight and edge length and so on and thickness should be fairly close from knife to knife. The handles will give you some variation in weight, but this particular one is 140 grams or 4.9 ounces. The overall length is about 14 inches, and then the edge length itself is about 212 millimeters or about 8.3 inches. These are not super thick. They're pretty consistent in thickness, so I measured about 2.2 at the back and 2.1 about halfway down. And then these have a pretty nice taper about the last 2 inches or so. So the tips, these are pretty high performance. So these are no slouches. It's a very nice package. So you'll see the what's called the distal taper, where the spine thickness just tapers down as the knife is ground down, and it gets pretty thin at that tip, as you can see. They're also ground fairly, I'd say, pretty darn thin at the edge as well. So this is a nice performing package. Height on these, this one's about 46.5 millimeters, so fairly decent height, and the handles are really nice. This is an oval ambidextrous handle with walnut for the main part and maple for the ferrule, and this particular one is very smooth all the way down. It's got a nice kind of satiny finish to it. It's really well finished, nicely made. The glue up in the tang is well done also. And this has unintentionally done handle install. With some instances, this is called Tokyo style. But what they've got is the tang sticking out just a little bit from the handle. That's kind of a nod to old school installs, and there's nothing wrong here. It's not a mistake. It's an on-purpose thing, like I said. Let's see, circumference on the handle is about 72 millimeters, and I measure them where the ferrule starts right here, or the wood behind that. Kind of an average, maybe slightly slender handle, but it fits this well. The balance point, it's a pretty light blade, so the balance point, given that handle, is about right there. So a little bit in front of the choil. The pinch grip will be a little bit in front of that, so there's my pinch grip. And so that's a slightly handle heavy at that point, but still pretty nimble, fairly neutral balance. The knife is nicely finished. They're fairly polished, as you can see there, so I don't want to, it's a little tricky sometimes grabbing a shot here. We'll do that. This is the edge bevel getting shiny right there. So they've got machine finish on it, and it's vertical on the sanding marks you can see there. They've done a fair polish on it. It has laser engraved kanji on the right side of the blade as you would be holding it. There you go. Really nice. These are just well done. The spine has just a little bit of relief on the corners. My only complaint on these is that the grinding on the choil into the neck, they didn't put a relief on that. So the corners of that are rather sharp on that flat. So some people don't care, some people don't. I'm pretty sensitive to it. I just don't like it. So if that's the case with you, you can get some strips of sandpaper, emery cloth, do a shoe shine on this back and forth, and you can, if you tape it correctly, put it in some kind of clamp and, tape it so it's protected. And you're protected. I usually tape the top part too so you don't get hit with a knife edge, but you could knock this out in 10 minutes easy and have a nice finish on that and smooth it out. So out of the box edge on these, I'd say 5 out of 10. It was pretty sharp. The edge is pretty low grit. You can see the grit level on it, and it's ground pretty quick, probably on a pretty low grit stone or wheel of some kind. So I would say you'd want to probably put a good edge on here. This will take a nice edge. I would if I were you. It's fairly stiff given the thickness, especially in the back half of the blade. The grinds are nice. It's nice and straight, but really it's a well done package. So let's take a look at the cutting board. So here's the cutting edge profile. So if you look here, there's not a lot of flat spot. It's kind of a gentle belly throughout. There's a little bit of a back kind of reverse belly in the heel. So you have to kind of roll it in to hit the heel. It's a smooth roll, but you do have to do that. So you've got pretty much continuous belly, a little bit towards the tip. I can get right in there before the tip wants to dig in on this particular knife. This can vary a little bit from knife to knife. Do remember that. But this is your general profile. So not a particularly good chopper, but pretty versatile for the other type of tasks. So this is just a well thought out, nicely executed combination here of a cool handle, very light knife, steel that's forgiving, high performance grind to it. So it's a nice package. So this is, in fact, I'm going to put my hand there because that's bright. So this is the Harukaze VG-1 Gyuto 210mm knife.